But today I'm coming from Exodus chapter 3. I'm going to say it again, Exodus chapter 3. And we're going to start at verse 7. We're going to start at verse 7. And I want you to see something. I really want you to hear what I'm about to say and see it. Because I don't want y'all to miss this. The reason I'm bringing this to the forefront is because something happened this week. And and Trinity don't know this. I was seeing what she called me about. And when she called me, it was already vexing my spirit about people posting that God doesn't hear black people because we're not belonging to him. And then the second thing that was bothering me was that people don't know enough Christianity history or Christian history to understand that our faith that we believe in was not a European religion. It was not. That's just not true. So the first thing, let's get into Exodus chapter 3. And I have my little fan on so I won't sweat as much and be all glossy. So my wind is blowing. But Exodus chapter 3, we're going to start at verse 7. Exodus chapter 3, verse 7. Verse 7. Are y'all ready? I hope you're ready because this is going to blow your mind. Today's topic of which I'm preaching about or teaching about or speaking about, whatever you want to call it, is one thing I'm talking about today. He hears your cry. And I could be real deep and say he hears our cry. So he hears our cry. God is not ignoring us. God is not sitting back just eating cherries and getting fed grapes by the angels. That's not the truth. And I want to show you this in the text. Here it goes. Exodus chapter 3, verse 7. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of the people in Egypt. I've heard them crying out because they are slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Can I read that again? I don't know. When I tell y'all right now, my technology is freaking out, and I don't know why. This is crazy to me. So don't worry. I'm going to trust God. I'm an old school person. Y'all ready for this? I'm going to read that again. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of people in Egypt. I've heard them crying out because they're slave drivers. I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them out of the land into a good, spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites have reached me. And now the cry of the Israelites have reached me. And the cry of the Israelites have reached me. I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. I have seen the way that the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go. I am sending you to the Pharaoh to bring my people to the Israelites, bring the people to Israel out of Egypt. But Moses said, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? Verse 12. And God said, I will be with you. And this will be the sign to you that is, I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. Moses said to God, suppose I'm to go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they asked, what is his name? Then he shall tell them, God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you want to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. Once again, the title of my message, the things that I'm talking about today is this one thing is he hears our cries. He hears our cries. And many times and oftentimes what happens is a lot of people believe that because God doesn't come down like a Superman, God doesn't come down like a superhero, that he's not hearing us, that he's not still doing nothing for us, when in fact, this is nothing new. It's almost like we can say it's a longevity cycle where God is allowing stuff to happen doesn't mean he's approving that it does happen. So let me say that again. Just because we're going through social injustice and oppression and racial stereotypes and all that stuff doesn't mean God is sitting back agreeing that that should happen to us. As a matter of fact, just because God allows something to happen doesn't mean he agrees that it's happened. God hears our cries and it bothers him. Now, you have to remember a couple of things. God does not answer to our time frame. So although we seem like we've been suffering forever, God is like, I am devising a perfect plan, and I got something for you. And many times we think, we get so caught up with thinking God doesn't hear us that we miss the fact that God is sending us. I'm going to say that again. Sometimes we get caught up with thinking that God doesn't hear us. He doesn't hear our cries, that we miss the opportunity, and we don't realize that God has already sent us and is sending us. I want to say something. The first thing you see is when you read in this text and when you're reading this stuff, I noticed something, that God references his promises. Now, if you go back and read Exodus chapter 2, verses 23 to 24, let me read those real quick. During the long period, listen to that, during the long period, Hebrews are suffering. Israelites are suffering during the long period. Black people, you have to wake up. It's the long period. We're in the long period. And we don't like it. During the long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery, cried out. And their cry was for help because of their slavery. Their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God hears our cries. They are going up. It's not that he's not doing nothing, that our cries are going up. And we can look in Exodus and say that God hears us. Watch this, verse 24. So our cries went up. The Israelites' cries went up. God heard their groaning, and he remembered, and he remembered, and he remembered, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham. So the cries of the oppressed went up. The cries of the people who was hurting went up, and God heard them. And when God heard them, when he heard their cries, he remembered his promises. Watch this. I love that. Because when we think about God's promises, we ask this, what does God promise? We don't see God's promises. We're struggling. We're suffering. God, what are your promises? So I had to go look. I had to go dig through Genesis and try to figure out what were God's promises. Because his promises, it says right here, remember his covenant, his promises with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites with concern about them. When God remembers his promises, then he have more concern because he has to hold up to his end of the bargain. It's not that he don't want to. He wants to. He don't like stuff like this. We know this. So we have to start reading and going back. What has God promised his people? What has God promised the people who are oppressed? What has God promised the people who are struggling? What has God promised the poor? What has God promised those people who are going through? What has he promised them? Then watch this. I had to dig them out. I got them in my notes. You don't have to worry. You don't have to look at it. If you have pen and paper, you should write these promises down. You should remember these promises because they have value to you. Okay. Here we go. The first promise I see was in Genesis chapter 15. He promised to Abraham. This are the promises to Abraham. Genesis chapter 15, verses 18 to 21. First promises. Genesis 15, 18 to 21. He promises land. He promised Abraham land. He told Abraham, hey, bro, I'm going to give you some land. Because Abraham didn't have a place. If you go back and read it, shout out to my boy Rodney, who helped me. Me and him, we started having biblical conversations. And then, oh my God, we just go on. I'm going to read the scripture to you real quick. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram. His name not even Abraham yet. And he said, to your descendants, I give this land from the wildy, to Egypt, to the great river, to the Euphrates, the land of the Canaanites, Kenites, all these ites. I'm giving you the land. God makes promises. He has given the land to us. It's our responsibility to walk in those promises. Well, Trey, what land are you talking about? Just because people don't want us in this country don't mean we won't belong to us. Just because people don't want us here don't mean we can't still acquire land. Just because people want us here doesn't mean that we can't receive the true promises of God. Don't mean it. You can still get you a big house. You can still go out there and do greater things. You can still go buy 40 acres. You can still go buy 50 acres, 60. You can go acquire the things you want to do. Another promises. Genesis 17:8. Genesis 17:8. God says this. Blew my mind when I saw this. It says, Genesis 17:8. The whole land of Canaan, you will now reside in. The whole land of Canaan that you now reside in. Watch this. Keyword, keyword alert. You are a foreigner here. The biggest thing that most Black Americans have to do, African Americans have to deal with, is we don't have a homeland. We don't know what country we come from. So in this land, yes, we're foreigners. We don't even know where we belong. But that's okay, because God says, I will give you an everlasting possession to you. I will give an everlasting possession to you and your descendants after you. I will be their God. I will give you land, give you possessions, give you more. I will even bless the generations after you. And I will be their God. I will be there for them, even when you are foreigners in a land you didn't want to come to. That's crazy. The parallels between Abraham and our Black community and what we're going through, the parallels is remarkable to me. Because it seems like Abraham had to deal with the same plight and stuff that we had to deal with. Genesis chapter 26, verses 2 through 5. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt in the land where I tell you to live. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in the land for a while, and I will be with you. I will be with you, and you will be blessed. For you and your descendants, I will give these lands, and will confirm the oath I swear to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them lands. I will give them lands through your offspring. All nations on the earth will be blessed through your offsprings. All nations of the earth will be blessed because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions. Because you were obedient to me, I will bless your offsprings. I tell you this right now, I can see the blessings of the offsprings on us right now. Thank God for Harriet Tubman. Thank God for W.E. Du Bois. Thank God for all the many others who came before us and wanted better for their descendants, wanted better for their offspring, and we're doing better. We're doing way better. Thank God for that. But we still got to fight. And see, many times what people tend to do is they think that because we're doing better than grandma and them, because we're doing better than grandma and them, that we're supposed to immediately stop fighting the same fight. No, the Bible has already declared and decreed that we're going to have the promises of our forefathers. We're going to have the promises from the sin. So we're doing better than our ancestors. Thank God for that. But however, we still got to fight the fight. We still got to do more. We still got to grow. We still got to progress ourselves and fight. Why is it some of us are sick and tired of fighting the same fight? But you know what? I'd rather fight the fight right now and be better right now and have more resources now than fight a better fight. They was doing it without nothing. And here we are. We got social media. We can share stories throughout the world so fast. It's ridiculous. And God is like, use the resources you can combat that you have to combat certain things. We have more opportunity to get more education. We can read whatever we want to read. We can fight. We can say what we want to say. We can educate. We can do whatever. Our springs are thriving. Genesis. That's a promise number 1. With Genesis 15:18. Genesis 17. Genesis 26. Genesis 28. I'm going to read the last 2. Genesis 28:13-15. There above stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give your descendants the land of which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All the peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you, and I am with you. I am with you. I am with you, and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I'm done what I promised. The Bible says, I am with you. God says, I am with you. I am with you, and I won't leave you until I fulfill my promises. That's crazy. He said, watch this. I am with you, and I will watch over you wherever you go. He's with us. He's watching it. He forgot about us, y'all. And it's not just the Black community, any oppressed people. Yeah, we the highlight right now. We got it, and we deserve it. But when this dies down, I hope it doesn't die down to the point where we all get lax and go back to where we're going. But if we see any social injustice against any people, we call it out. That we stay vigilant. God is with us. He won't leave us. God is with us. He won't leave us. Then 35, Genesis 35. And God said to them, and this is verse 11, Genesis 35, 11 to 12. And God said to them, I am God, God Almighty. Be fruitful and increase in numbers. A nation and a community of nations will come from you, and kings will be amongst your decisions. Look how powerful this promise is. A nation, hello, a community of a nation, hello, will come from you, and kings will be amongst your descendants. The land I give to Abraham, Isaac, I also give to you. I will give you this land to descend after you. Come on, y'all. We're a nation. We don't have a place to call home, country, but we're a nation. We're a community, and we're still growing. It's kings and queens amongst us. We've seen people rise up and become better. We've seen people leave circumstances and become better. We've seen the promises of God being fulfilled right here in our own lives. Let us not get carried away by only what's bad is happening, but let's also celebrate the positive that's happening right here in our community. As a matter of fact, let's stop hating on each other when somebody rise up and make it. Let us start doing greater things and greater works. Then when we see somebody else, we push them and we celebrate them. We support their businesses and we support what they're trying to do. If it's good and it's not hurting somebody, we're supporting that. Come on. Let's live in his promises. There's some things I see tied to his promises. I see a fulfillment that Jesus will come. In his promises, all the descendants, when he's talking about it, he's talking about, hey, salvation will come through this line. I am trying to save you, not just on earth, but I am trying to save you eternally as well. Jesus is not just looking to make your life good on earth. God is not just looking to make sure your life, that you have a big old house, fancy car. He's not just looking at that. If you're gonna suffer a little bit, if you're gonna go through some stuff, I would rather not go through it on the other side. I would rather salvation be clean. And fulfillment of Jesus Christ gives us that opportunity to have salvation. True salvation. Salvation away from no oppression. So salvation away from racial discrimination and social. We don't have to deal with that stuff no more. The true fulfillment of salvation through Jesus Christ. Then we see that God is also creating a family. He is reaching out to a person, Abram, and saying, hey, I want to make a connection with you. I want to be a family. I want to make you a special nation, a holy nation, set apart. I want to have family and humanity. And I really believe, and I don't want to stress the text too far, but I really believe God is searching for a community that loves and appreciates him more than anything else, more than their oppression, more than what they're going through. That God is looking for people who are saying, look, God, you see, I know you see it. I know you don't stand for it, and I love you and I trust you yet. Don't worry, God, because when your judgment hammer of justice swings, I know you will do the honorable thing because you are a just God. You are a loving God, and you are a fair God. Now, I did not see faith. Because Abraham gets the promises, and he has to. So I see the fulfillment. I see a family dynamic here, and I see a faith. Something that says, hey, Abraham don't even have kids, and God says, I'm going to make you a nation amongst nations. You have your descendants, your kids. He doesn't even have kids, but yet he walked in faith. So yeah, we might not see the positivity out of all this stuff. We might not even see it coming to an end. We might not even see how it's going to unfold for African Americans in the community, but we have to have a faith that God is going to get it right. We have to have a faith that despite of, we're going to continue to multiply and increase and grow in the nation, that our faith will continue to maintain to be strong. We're going to trust that Jesus will fulfill every promise in his word. We are a family. We are connected to the Most High, and we're connected to our big brother Jesus, and he came to give us salvation. We have those things, and then we have to walk by faith, and we have not believed what we see. Yeah, I see the injustice. Yeah, I see the failure of the justice system. Yeah, I see these police officers. Yeah, I see 12, and I see the anger, and I see the frustration, but I'm going to walk by faith. Yeah, I even feel that way, but I have to trust God more than how I feel, because my feelings don't always equate to what my faith said I can do. And sometimes what happens is we just want to feel. I feel angry, and I feel. People love expressing how they feel, and I respect your feelings, but at the end of the day, you're going to say, no matter how I feel, I got to trust God, because I ain't nothing much I can do. I can vote. I can talk intelligent. I can do this. I can do that. I can prepare myself to be looking all classy, and something bad still can happen to me. So I have faith that when I encounter these different things, that Jesus And God will step in because he hears his people. Because I am part of his family. He's doing it. But you got to have the faith that he's going to do it. I hear so much defeat in the Christian community. God ain't did nothing yet. God brought you. You here. Where's your faith? Where you going to trust him? He going to trust me. He's going to take care of them. I've seen him take care of people in my life. I've seen him take care of people in some kids' life. I've seen him get his justice. We just got to have faith. I watch this. You can feel stuff, and it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to go downtown and protest. All that stuff is good, but you still got to have faith. You can't take justice in your own hands thinking you're going to get the same reward. It's not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen. So we read this text. When we read Exodus chapter 7, something crazy happens. Because when I see this, I had to go back a little bit because I missed something. And what I miss is now Moses was tending to the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, and the priest of Midian. And then he led the flock far side of the wilderness. Moses is in the wilderness. Okay, hold on. Before I get deep into this, let me break something down. Me and my boy Rodney, I told you, shout out to Rodney for putting me onto this information. So after Abraham, because this is why you need to read the Bible with people. This is why you need to read it, to have Bible discussions, and y'all read the same text. Because it blew my mind when he put me on this. I was like, wow, I didn't see this. If you go back and read Genesis chapter, I think it's 10 or 11, you will see that after Sarah dies, Abraham marries another woman. When Abraham marries another woman, she has like 5 or 6 boys or something like that. And one of them name is Midian. So the crazy thing about this is God has made a promise to Abraham. God has made a promise to Abraham. And we tend to think that the promise stopped with Isaac. But the promise does not stop with Isaac. The promise was still fulfilled to all his sons. Check this out. One of his sons' name was Midian. Everybody say Midian. So God makes a promise to Abraham. Abraham has more sons other than Isaac. And one of those sons' name is Midian. Watch this, blew my mind. Moses sees something happening in Egypt. Kills the man because he's tired of the Hebrews being destroyed. He's tired of the Hebrews being oppressed. He's tired of them getting whipped. And he kills the man. Now, I don't want to go too deep in that because there's a whole nugget shell in there. There's some crazy stuff in there, too, that I saw when we was having this conversation. And he kills the man. And then he runs away because he knows what he's done is wrong. He killed the man, buried his body, and ran. And he runs to Midian. Well, you missed it. He runs to Jethro. Jethro is the grandson of Abraham. So Moses, who is a Hebrew who's being oppressed, runs to where free Hebrews are. He runs to where people who are not in his condition, he goes to there. And watch this. How did he get there? How did Moses, who we really cannot trace to any legacy to Abraham, goes to where Abraham's grandson is? And the text says right there that the father-in-law, the priest of Midian, he goes to where Moses runs to where the promise was being made to the people. Moses runs to where the connection of the promise truly was. Now, it was promised to all Israelites, but the original promise, the bloodline of the promise is right there. And somehow, watch this, not only does Moses run there, but he marries into the promise. He marries the Jethro's daughter. I mean, that's Moses now the son-in-law to the promise. Can you, how? I told you I tried to turn my fan. I knew I was going to get high. So here it is. Moses, a convicted murderer. People saw him murder this guy. Runs away to where God runs away to the connection to the promise. Watch this. And then we find ourselves in Exodus 3 where he's in the land where he's around the promise, kind of in the facility of the promise. And God says, hey, yo, you in the wilderness. Because now we're in the story of the burning bush. He says, yo, you in the wilderness. Take your shoes off. I got something to tell you. Blew my mind that Abraham's son, who also is an extension of the promise God has made, the covenant is still there. And Moses is right there by the covenant and didn't even know it. Moses, who's focused on his past and his murder he saw stuff, and he's trying to hide. He hid right into the promise. He hid right into the promise and didn't even know it. So many times when you feel like there's nothing going on, then could it be that God is positioning the Black community wilderness because we ain't listening to his voice. I'll say it again. Could it be that God is positioning the black community and the church because we're not listening? He's pushing us closer to the promise and we don't even know it. Watch this. Watch this. They have a dialogue, but we see that when he calls Moses, he's in the wilderness. And I tend to think that a lot of people before George Floyd, before Breonna Taylor, before Ahmaud Arbery, I'm probably saying his name a little bit wrong, before we seen this stuff go down, a lot of us were in the wilderness already. A lot of us wasn't advocating for black stuff. A lot of us wasn't performing at black excellence. A lot of us wasn't reading. A lot of us wasn't studying. A lot of us wasn't taking school serious. A lot of us were we was in the wilderness. We was out there hiding from what God has already promised to us because we're too busy thinking about our mistakes. We should be thinking about what mama and them did. We should be thinking about what daddy didn't do. We should think about what our community looks like. We can't get ahead. That a lot of us are already in the wilderness before any of this stuff happened. And what tend to happen is when God sees us in the wilderness, three things I see just kind of in the text, three things I see right here. You're going to live, most of us were living normal, basic lives. Moses, tending to the sheep, got him a 9 to 5, supposed to be leading the nation, got him a 9 to 5. Chilling, good, I'm making a little check, ain't facing me none. Most of us were like that. Most of us, I just want to make the basketball team. I just want to make the track team. I just want to do this. I just want to do that. I just want to live my life. I want to give me a good job. Most of us live a normal basic life, not trying to better anything. Instead, trying to hide from everything. Watch this. Next thing I see is that Moses had a dormant gift inside him that he didn't even know he had. Watch this. Why, if Moses grew up as an Egyptian, because if you know his story, he grew up as an Egyptian. Why all of a sudden one day when you go back and read the text, it says all of a sudden he grew up. And when he grew up, if you go back and read the text, it says, and when he grew up, he cared for oppression. He cared that it was happening. Because when Moses was a kid, he saw the slaves getting beat. When Moses was a toddler, he saw it. As Moses grew up, he saw people being whipped. He saw people being oppressed. But all of a sudden, one day out of nowhere, and the Bible either says, you can either say he's matured or he actually grew up, but I say he matured. One day he recognized what around him was going wrong. So he had a dormant gift inside of him already that was trying to manifest itself, but he kept suppressing it down to the point where it got so big that he had to kill a man because he could not take what he saw. And he ran to his normalcy. He ran to be basic. He ran. And many times, many of y'all here, you wake up with a dying urge and pain to fix a problem in the world, but because you can't see it fulfilled, because your faith is so raggedy, because you can't see it, because nobody else in your family has did it, nobody in this country has did it, you tend to quit before you can even do it, and you bury your gift. And God's like, don't worry, I'm going to call it out of you. Yeah, go into the wilderness, go into being basic, go into giving up, go back to being social media and posting your selfies and go back to Snapchat and getting your worry about your streaks. Go back to TikTok and doing all these challenges. Go back to all that stuff. Be basic. But when I wake that gift up on you, it's nothing you can say. And my fear is that when this is all over and said and done, a lot of us will go back to being basic. Gifts dormant, protest over, fist gone. Dormant. Ain't doing nothing. Basic lives. Another thing I see is Moses was enlightened, but he ain't do nothing. He killed the man because he saw him being oppressed. He killed the man because he saw him do. He killed the man because he saw that it was wrong. So Moses was like many of us. He was body. Stop doing this, and he took action and ran and stopped caring. Ran. It don't say that he organized a rebellion against Egypt. It doesn't say that he turned into a country and he waged war against Egypt. It says he was tending the sheep, wildlife, tending to a flock. Got married and tried to hide. New stuff was going on around him and went back to being basic and gift dormant. Went back to being basic and dormant. And even though he had the knowledge that people in Egypt were suffering, his people were suffering. I'm telling you, in 2 months, 3 months, we're going to see who really still cares about this. If the police brutality stops being broadcast by the media, if we don't see it on social media, we're going to see who still cares, who know that there's still a problem in the justice system, who know that social injustice still happens. We're going to see who takes their enlightenment a step further and say, I can't let this die just because I don't see it, because I know it's happening. We gonna see. Because I tend to believe that when things get back to normal, let's say they convict the police officers and all four of them go to jail, and that's where they should be. What happens next? Well, are we satisfied? No, we're not satisfied because there's more stuff still like that's not gonna end it. We know that. We gotta continue to fight. We cannot allow our enlightenment go to waste because now, watch this, we're good. Yeah, we can't. Yeah, they convict them, they go to jail. Maybe that's what's better happen. We can't stop. It ain't over. Shoot, if it was over, trust me, it would have been over when King got shot. If it was over, it would have got. It would have when the slaves were free, it would have been over. But it didn't end. As you can see, each generation of black people, each generation of righteous, good people had to fight evil. That's just how it is. Every generation of right, good, evil, good people had to fight evil. So you better be prepared to put your full armor of God on and be ready to fight, no matter what the issue is. Period. All right. I only got 15 minutes. So we see the connection, how Moses was right in line. He married into the true covenant. He married into the actual bloodline of Abraham. That's crazy. He was in Egypt. He wasn't even close to that. And somehow stumbled into the promise. Coincidence? I think not. Watch this. There are three things God does see. Let me tell you something too, before I get into these points. Just because a goal seems far-fetched in moments like these. For instance, is it far-fetched to see that we will actually have a bill come, police brutality, a bill of some reform bill or something come, right? I can say, oh, that's never going to happen and no longer fight. Or I can say, I will give my last dying breath. Go back and listen to my messages. I will give my last dying breath until I can progress it as far as I can. I had a conversation with somebody, and I sent them something, and they said, and what they said shook me a little bit. It shook me more than it should, because it just shook me. They said, ain't nobody gonna be doing all that. And when they said that, I thought to myself, that's the problem. The problem is we too busy worried about what other people are doing, Moses. We too busy worried about what other people are not going to do, Moses. Then standing up and standing up, well, I'm going to do this. One of the most powerful scriptures in the Bible is Joshua. He says, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I can't get caught up what everybody going to do or not going to do. I'm going to fight for what I got to fight for. And if I'm the only one on the front line, if I'm the only one protesting, if I'm the only one holding the sign, if I'm the only one voting, I'm going to do what's right because God has called me to do it. And many times we get so distracted with what other people are doing or not doing that we miss the purpose that we're supposed to be doing. I don't care if I'm the only one fighting. I don't care if I'm the only one talking to young black kids. I don't care. I got to do what God called me to do. Period. We got to stop making excuses why we can't fulfill our purpose. I'm tired of it. If you're the only one doing it, then doing it. Why is this? Because you got followers, they're going to follow you. You ain't going to be by yourself. All right. Got that off my soapbox. Three things God does. When I say God hears your cries, this is how God responds. 100, okay? We see in the text that God heard and God was hearing them. In Exodus chapter 2, it says their cries went up to God. So God was listening. He heard and he's hearing. See, I had to use both of these words because many people say God was listening. No, he's hearing. And when God says he's listening, not just I heard you. No, he's listening intentfully. And that's why he has so many scriptures. And you really want to follow somebody, look at David's life, how they had a community, how they had a relationship. God is hearing us, people. God ain't forsaken us. The scary part is we don't know what God is going to do, and he ain't moved like we wanted to move. But see, that's always, like I told people, that's the scariest thing. You're never scared of the person who's doing all the talking in a fight. You're always looking at the person who ain't said a word, and they just got their hands ready to go. That's the person you need to be scared of. And God ain't said nothing. He's up to something. Because just because God ain't moving on our time, just because God ain't doing it how we want to do it, doesn't mean he ain't listening. He is. He hears us. He heard Israel. He heard Egypt. He heard the cries of the Hebrew slaves. He's heard them. And he started moving. Point number 2. So 3 things God does. Now, he heard, he's hearing us. He heard, and he's hearing us. Another thing is, God is looking and he has looked at us. He's looked and he's looking. He's watching us and he sees it. He is not dumb. He is not blindsided. He's looking and he's looked past it and he's looking. What do I mean? He looked, he said they saw, and he saw them. The Bible says he saw them. So he sees us protesting. And some of us is like, right on. You doing what I'm supposed to, you doing what I called you to do. But some of us is looking like, now you know better. You ain't not supposed to be out there stealing that. You know better. He's looking. And the good thing about this, that means he's observing us. He's listening to us. He's observing us. And he's trying to see, where are my people at? I'm going to tell you why I said that. I'm going to give you the third one first. Watch this. God has acted on our behalf, and he's acting on our behalf. So I'm going to give it again. He heard / hearing us. He looked / looking at us. And he acted / is acting on our behalf. He told Moses, yo, this is what I need you to do. You're going to tell the people. Then you're going to go tell, he told Pharaoh, hey, go tell Pharaoh it's time to stop this. It's time. And I wonder, are you Moses? Who? That's my question. I said all that to say to ask you this one question. I wonder if you are Moses. Because look at Moses' response. And many of us are Moses. Many of us, we see stuff, we see the oppressed, we'll fight for a little while just like Moses, but then we'll run off into our comfort and be normal and be dormant and we know what's going on, but we don't want to talk about it no more. Many of us are just like that. We see oppression, but only for a little while. Then we go off into our bedrooms, we go off into our homes, go off to school. But look what Moses said. Because are you Moses? Are you Moses? Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And guys, but Moses said, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring an Israelite out of Egypt? God tell him, hey, I see the oppression. I see your people struggling. I hear their cries, and I don't like it. So Moses, I need you to go. And the first thing out of Moses' mouth, who knows who's seen it, who knows they're being oppressed, who knows they're being hurt, the first thing out of his mouth, because he knows and God knows, Moses doesn't say, I'll go. Moses says, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out? Right off the bat, Moses sees the oppression of people. Moses sees things happening, and he asks, who am I? I can't do nothing. It's just little old me. Who am I to go to Pharaoh? Who am I? And I wonder how many people are Moses. Right off the bat, you making excuses why you can't cause change. Right off the bat. Don't forget who sent you. You see the oppression, it bothers you, it keeps you up at night, it's stressing you out. God is probably sending you to do something about it. Be the leader to change it. How great would it be for you to start a spark? How great would it be for you to change something? Because you gave it all you got because you was unashamed, because you didn't think lowly of yourself. You thought you were the person that can fix it. And somebody is listening to me. God has put enough talent and gifts inside you where you can probably fix social injustice. You might be the one to present the bill on the floor in Congress. I don't know. But all I know is, if you don't think more highly of yourself, that God has called you to be a leader to fix stuff, then you'll be wandering in the wilderness like Moses for 40 years. Because Moses ran and he was in Jethro's camp for 40 years. Right next to the promise. Real quick, got 5 minutes. Don't run from the problem like Moses. Moses saw oppression happening and he ran from the problem. He ran from the problem. Instead, stand up for what's right in the eyes of people, and just stand up for what's right. You see people getting down. Why this works at your school? You see people getting picked on. Stand up. That's not right. Stand up for that. You see people getting picked on for the different things that we see in our community, like orientation, sexual orientation, all that stuff. That's not right. Don't pick on those people. Why? We got to stand up what's right, period. Across the board. People are people, they're going to make their choices, and that doesn't bother us. What we want to be as Christians is show love and grace and stand up for all, start standing against all injustices, period. But whether we agree with it or not, we stand up for it. Last thing. Don't be afraid to lead. Trust that God is who he said he is. Don't be Moses. God had to tell Moses, I tell them, I am sent you. And that's one of the most powerful statements in the Bible. Because what God is saying is, I got you. Romans 8:31 is one of my favorite scriptures. For if God is for you, then who can be against you? If God is for you, then it doesn't matter if you go to jail for protesting. If God peacefully, it doesn't matter if your family income looks that way. If God has called you, you can rise above all of that. If you need help, look for people. Find you mentors. Find you people like myself. I'm connected to more people than you are. So you can say, Trey, can you find me somebody to mentor me and help me? And if you don't feel satisfied with that mentor, find you another mentor. If you don't feel satisfied with that one, find you another one. Stop making excuses and be the leader that God calls you to be. He put too much talent in you. He put too much greatness in you. He put too much everything in you. Mercy, it's in you. You just got to get that thing out of you. And it's already in you, and you know that. Let me pray you out, because my 2 minutes just popped up. And I want you to try to say, God, he's hearing us, and he hears us. He's looking, and he looked, and he's acting, and he's acting. He did it in the past, and he's still doing it now. But he needs you. He called Moses to go lead them out of oppression. He called Moses to come lead them out of slavery. Is he calling you? Then get up and do something. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you that you hear our cries. I thank you that you heard Israel's cry. I love the fact that this is in the Bible because you heard us. And God, just like you hear us, there's so many other people groups and so many other communities out there hurting, getting picked on. And God, that's not right. Social injustice or injustice against other humanity is wrong. Whether they're Muslim, Islam, gay, straight, trans, whatever, it don't matter, guys. Hurting people is not right. Period. So God, give us the heart of love and confidence to stand up to that stuff. Even if it means we have to hurt with them. Moses had to go through it with them. He had to grab them and had to be chased by Pharaoh with them. God, stop letting us get comfortable when everything calmed down. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.